Stepping onto your mat about the midline of the mat and coming into child pose. Tuck yourself in small, settle onto the mat, arrive at your practice with yourself. So breathing a little deeper as you use your hands to push the ground away, drop your hips back. And then either keeping your hands in front, or you can rest them under your head or wrap them back around by your feet. Finding the breath opening into your hips, along the vertebrae of your low spine and up into your ribs, stretching the back ribs open, breathing up into your shoulders and your neck. So you're shifting into Ujjayi Pranayam, moving that into Dirgha Pranayam. Within this tucked posture, find the fullness of the breath. It's a good metaphor for finding a sense of expansion when you feel like you're in a tight space. As you continue to breathe, use your exhale to let go of whatever you need to let go of so you can be present with yourself. Feeling what you feel in your body as you inhale. This next time that you inhale, uncurl your way up to kneeling, bringing your arms out and up overhead. Exhale, draw them down along your midline. Coming into Atmanjali Mudra, a prayer position at your heart. Either close your eyes or take your gaze down towards the ground. If you're tuning in with your voice, breathe in for the first of 3. As you breathe in, open your eyes, take your hands out in front, press up onto hands and knees. So you're coming into table pose. As you bring your hips above your knees, see that your thighs are parallel to each other, roughly a fist width apart between your inner knees, and bring your hands under broad shoulders. So you may have to walk your hands back a little bit, finding where your fingers spread out, so open the fingers. Lift your wrists and your thumbs. And if you're not able to lift both wrists and both thumbs, then plant one hand and do the other one, so that you can take the weight into the hand that's planted and focus just as much through the one that's lifted as you can breathe into. So taking a few breaths into lifting your wrists and your thumbs, spreading your fingers out wide from each other, and then down long into the mat. When you have a good stretch through both hands, through both sets of fingers, then we're going to move the spine with the breath. So now you have your hands planted, push the ground away with your hands with the front of your shins and your feet, and let your back arch up towards the ceiling into cat pose, letting your tail and your head drop down. Pause here for a few breaths. See that you can't see your feet because they're right behind your knees. And then feel that you're tucking your belly up into your low back to help fan the low back open. Spread out through the low back. Pressing down through your feet, your shins, your hands to leverage the back up. And then as you inhale next, lift your tailbone up towards the sky and roll up your spine until your head lifts. And when you get there, take a few breaths and pause. Here in cow pose, slide your shoulder blades down away from your neck and in towards your spine. so that the shoulder blades are kind of like little hands. Instead of those little hands coming up to strangle your neck, slide them down behind your heart to help press the heart open, the upper chest forward between the upper arms. Then go back and forth between these two. Use your exhale to arch up into cat pose and your inhale to arch open into cow, moving with your pace of breathing, taking it as slow as you can initially so you can maintain all of your points of precision, finding where the movement is up and down. It's really easy with cat and cow initially, if you haven't done this before, to end up moving forward and back. Instead of doing that, keep your hips right above your knees and find the movement of your spine up and down, and how that movement affects your hips and your shoulders. Using this to also stretch your hands, so keep the base of the fingers planted, and to stretch open the feet, so pressing down through your shins and the front of your feet. If you have trouble sliding your shoulders back, drawing your chest forward on the inhale, your hands may be too close together, so see if you can find the placement where your wrists are under broad shoulders. Cat and cow is one of the foundational practices. It's something we do pretty much every single time, the spinal flex. So it's worth getting to know this posture. And if you're looking for something to do that isn't a longer practice, cat and cow is a great place to start, great benefit. Brings fluidity to the entire nervous system, the spine, which extends out into the arms and legs. This next time that you inhale, bring your spine neutral, table position, and look over your right shoulder, drop your shoulder back, and draw your right hip up towards your right shoulder. Shrink the right waist. So we're reiterating what we did last time, belly down. Use your inhale to come back to center, head and tail stretching away from each other, then exhale over to the left side. Drop your left shoulder back away from your chin and draw your hip up towards your shoulder. Then moving at your pace of breathing, inhale center and exhaling to the side. Feeling how one side of the ribs fans open, the other side shrinks in. And noticing if you can't see your hip. A lot of times with this one, the hips avoid you. So actively pull them around towards your shoulder, like there's a little bungee cord between your hip and shoulder, and it shrinks in. With cat and cow, we just did the up and down movement of the spine, the forward and back, and now we're going side to side. This next time you inhale and your back is center, keep one hand planted and flip the other hand so that your fingernails face the ground. Your fingertips are pointing towards your knee, and the whole back of your hand, all the way up to your wrist, is on the ground. Take the weight into the other hand so that you can determine how much weight you're dropping into the back of your wrist, finding where you can breathe into that stretch in the back of the wrist. If you're not quite feeling it and the whole back of your hand is on the ground, then you can start to lengthen through your elbow and sink your weight back a little bit. So find your edge, your place. Then replant that hand. As you do, spread your fingers out so you have triangles of color between all of your fingers and your thumb. Then roll down through the lengths of your fingers. When you have the weight in that hand, come over to the other wrist, planting the back of the hand and finding the stretch on this side. Keep the breath flowing. Even in these little stretches, imagine your breath moving into your wrist as though it could. And then replanting that second hand, so you're rolling down through wide spread fingers, and as the fingers and the hands come down to the ground, give yourself enough room to have the wrists under broad shoulders. So for most people, when you spread your fingers out and your wrists are under broad shoulders, your little fingers will come close to the edges of the yoga mat. Then coming back into cat and cow, push the ground away and roll from your tailbone up to your head in both directions. Exhale as you arch your back up in cat pose. Inhale as you slide your shoulders back and let the head and tail lift for cow. It's really easy in cow pose to have a sway in the back. That's the easy part. So focus on opening the upper back, upper chest, by drawing the shoulder blades down and in, so you create some space at the back of the neck. We're going to move this into prana apana, the balance of energies coming in and energies going out. So this next time that you inhale into cow pose, your head is lifted, take your right knee off the ground and reach your right toes way away from your head, lengthen through your right leg. Then as you exhale and you push the ground away like you would for cat pose, tuck your right knee underneath and see if you can get your head and knee close together or even touching. Then continue with that movement. Inhale, stretch back, head away from foot, and then exhale, tuck your knee in towards your head. And if your head and knee are not yet connecting, just each exhale, push the ground away with your left shin, the base of your fingers, and arch your back up higher. Tuck your belly in. That creates more room for you to draw the knee in underneath. Starting on the right side with this, because this stimulates digestion and the flow of the very end of the digestive tract. The colon goes from upper right down to left and then out. So if you forget or you're not sure why, remember to start on the right, so you move with the flow of digestion. Finding the length on the inhale from the head to the toes and then tucking in on the exhale. The next time that you exhale, release your right knee down and flow right over to the left side. Inhale, stretch long through the left toes, leg lifting and reaching back. Exhale and tuck your knee in towards your head and see if there's any difference. If your head gets closer to your knee on this side, if you can feel any difference in your hips. And as you find the rhythm of it, the reach long, taking the bend out of the knee on the inhale and then tucking the knee in on the exhale, see if you can also find the shoulders on your back as you inhale, so you have space around your neck, a sense of opening your heart. And then the shoulders can spread open as you exhale. Taking one more breath here. When you exhale and tuck in, then release your left knee and shift back to kneeling, keeping your knees in line with your front hips, taking your butt cheeks back over your heels. Release your head down so you come into a little child pose, using your hands to press the ground away so you're coming into extended child. As you walk your butt back over your heels, breathe into your low back. Let your head release. If it doesn't touch the ground, just let it drop towards the ground. And then uncurl from here to kneeling. Use your inhale to uncurl upwards and check whether or not kneeling works for your ankles and your knees. So if it doesn't, if it's challenging on those joints, then you might find that sitting on a block or a blanket between your feet helps. And as you find your kneeling posture and any support that you need for kneeling, if that doesn't work, you can always come to sitting cross-legged. Stretch your fingers down towards the ground. If you touch the ground, that's fine. Lift up through your sternum, up through the back of your skull, so the spine's really long. Keep all of that height and the evenness of your shoulders as you release your head to the right, so your right ear drops towards your right shoulder. Keeping the shoulders dropping down onto the back and your breath rising up into the left side of your neck. So really focusing on that same quality of breath that we had at the beginning when you weren't holding yourself up and you could feel the belly and the low back fill, and then the rib cage fill, and then the upper chest, collarbones and neck fill. So at the very end of the inhale, feel that increased stretch into the inside of your neck. If you want to make this a little more intensive, you can turn your palms up and tuck your elbows in so you look like Lady Justice with the scales. But if you do that, check and be sure that you can still breathe easily and you're able to keep your jaw relaxed, your tongue relaxed. Now this next time that you exhale, release your head down, and when you get to center of your collarbones, then interlace your fingers out in front, palms facing each other, and stretch your arms forward as you scoop your belly back and curve through your low back, just like you would for cat pose, breathing along the curve of your spine. Hug your arms in towards your ears and use your arms to help lift your head up. Inhale your arms and head up, stretch up like you're going to lift up off the ground, and then exhale and separate your hands, reach down towards the ground. And as you find where your fingertips feel even or touch the ground evenly, let your head release to the other side, to the left, finding where you can release the weight of the head without clenching the jaw. Lifting your breath up into the right side of the neck. If you want to intensify this, turn your palms up, tuck your elbows in, but check that you can release the weight of the head. If it's too intense, you can always turn your nose or your chin towards your shoulder, and that may soften it a little bit. Looking for working with gravity with this, using gravity to take the head down, and then the breath to increase the stretch. So locating your inhale in that space between your ear and your shoulder on the right side. This next time that you exhale, release your chin down, and when you find your head at center, shift forward onto hands and knees again, stretching your fingers out as you bring them down. And keeping the space around your neck that you just created, so shoulders on your back. Stretch out the calves from sitting kneeling for so long. Curl your right toes under on the ground and reach back through your heel. So as you lift your right knee off the ground, you stretch long through your right leg. Aim your heel behind your toes so that you get a stretch in your calf, your lower leg. Keeping your shoulders broad, lots of space around your neck. If you feel your low back is swaying, tuck your belly up into your low back. If you want to deepen this stretch, you can lift your left knee off the ground, but keep your shoulders broad. Take a big breath into your lower leg and use your exhale then to release. Switch sides. Checking that your heel is back behind your toes so that you can feel the lower leg, the calf muscles stretching out. Shoulders are on your back. If you want to deepen, take your right knee off the ground and shift your weight back without crowding the neck. And when you feel you have a good stretch on that side, then release down onto your back. Finding your alignment in Shavasana, or relaxation resting pose. Reach your heels away from your head. When you find the backs of your legs long, let your feet relax away from each other. Then turn your palms up and stretch your fingers, your arms down away from your head so that your upper back is broad. Shoulders are broad underneath you. And that action of lengthening your arms may have overarched your low back. So if you need to, shimmy your butt down or out so your low back is comfortable. Get a sense that your ankles are in line with your hips and your shoulders, letting your feet relax. And that you have a little bit of space between your arms and your body so that you have room for your upper back to broaden into the ground. As you find ease through your low back, see if you can start to find the same kind of ease through your neck. So those natural curves that lift up away from the ground, your low back and your neck, feel that they're not overarched or overstretched. Get a sense that your chin is about in line with your forehead. And if you're not sure if your head is in line with your body, you may even need to lift your head up and look down your midline and see that your nose is in line with the center of your body. When you've released your head, fully release the weight of your head on the ground. Let your eyes close and your eyes be still and heavy behind your closed eyelids. Allow your top and bottom teeth to separate a little bit so that your jaw is relaxed. And notice if your tongue is pressed against the roof of your mouth or your teeth. Let your tongue relax towards the back of your mouth. Then let go of your breath. If you're still actively breathing, release it. And notice where it goes in the body. It will tend to drop down into the belly when you're relaxed. And it's also likely to become softer and shallower. Giving yourself this time here to be still and aligned and to release the engagement of the body that you were cultivating before. So noticing if your muscles are still pulling inwards or upwards. Allow the muscles of your body to drape heavily over the bones so that you're feeling the weight of your body sinking down. Instead of trying to lift yourself off the ground, sink down. In Shavasana, or corpse pose, practicing letting go. Instead of corpse being a morbid idea of a dead body, it's a useful practice for letting die, letting go of what isn't needed, and experimenting with stillness. That's the challenge with this practice, to be still and present. And it's one of the more challenging postures because only you know if you are still and present, especially if you're practicing on your own. When you notice your attention is active, it's moving elsewhere, outside of the breath, outside of the release and stillness of the body, reconnect. Let go of whatever it was that took your attention elsewhere and come back into the breath. Where is it? Is it coming in or going out or the space in between? Tune your mind to the rhythm of the breath, watching it without doing it. If you have more time and you'd like to continue to rest in this posture, feel free to give yourself that time to be still and present. In order to emerge out of this posture with minimal effort, bring your attention to your breath in your belly and move from passive breathing to active breathing. So each inhale becomes a little bit bigger. Having done this breathing before, notice now if there's any difference. Is there any more space to breathe into? Or any greater sense of ease or release in the body? A greater sense of letting go? So as you feel your torso expand with the breath, with the inhale, then exhale and empty out. Let go of what isn't needed. And then start to visualize that the breath extends all the way down, filters into the legs and the feet, the balls of the toes, and down through the arms and the hands and all of the fingers, and up through the spine to the head. And as you breathe into the whole body, allow your body to move. It might feel good to wiggle your hands or feet, or circle them, or stretch long through your arms and legs. If you're feeling really tired, you might want to stay really still as long as possible. And as you re-engage your arms and legs, minimize the effort. Make it really easy, so you're not creating tension as you start to bring yourself back to life. Either draw the knees in or just roll over to your right side and bend your knees a little bit. Find an easy place on your right side where your head can rest on your arm or on the floor. And then bring your left hand in front of you and push the ground away with your left hand to help bring yourself up without pulling up with your neck. Once you're up tall, finding whatever comfortable seat works for you, as you inhale, lift your arms up overhead, gather up the breath, the energy, the awareness you'd like to take with you off the mat. Bring your palms together and draw your hands down along the center of your body, acknowledging yourself for being present with yourself. And if you're practicing with anyone else, acknowledging them. Namaste.